Boom. Let's see what we got here. Hi, guys. Good morning. Yeah, I couldn't sleep. I wasn't going to do a live stream to cover the quarterly deliveries, but man, it's just been stuck in my head. And so let's see if we can get anybody in here to watch this with me. Let's start furiously F5ing, shall we? Nothing. How's everybody doing? Let me see if I can get a chat window in a little more convenient place. My videos. Good morning. If anyone's here, I would sure love to hear from you. Yeah, there we are. Oh, looks like I got some viewers here. Good morning, everybody. So, last chance. What do you think the deliveries are going to be? My official number was, what, 206 and change? Let's look at this. View it here. There we go. Anyone's here. Mm-hmm. Cool. So it's been a big quarter. And one of the comments I saw on the prediction video was, are we going to keep saying record quarter? Yeah, we are. Because why wouldn't we? There's beauty in it, you know? There were times when every quarter was not a record. But I think those days are behind us, at least for a bit. Hello. Yes, hello. Hello, Ryan. Hello, Jacob. 220,000, says Luca. I know it's high, but I'm high too, so yeah, 199,999. That's a fair guess. A commenter did point out an error in my math. When I was predicting the ramp of Model Y, I divided the number by 2 for quarters when I should have divided it by 3 for quarters, and that was a mistake on my part. But I'm going to own it, man. I'm going to own it. I'm going to let that be what it is. So, 206, here we come. Ryan saying 205. Where do you guys see surprises coming? I think nobody knows what the production on the Model S is. I think production is going to be significantly higher than deliveries, obviously, since deliveries began so late, and production began quite a bit before that. So I think that's one area of great uncertainty. The Model Y ramp, definitely uncertainty. Gordon Johnson says 10,000. No, he doesn't. Gordon Johnson, I think he said 198,000. He said a very realistic, very plausible number. Because as much of a absolute clown as he is, love you, Gojo. Love you. His predictions are still grounded in reality, whether he means them to be or not. Even, as they say, a broken cock is right twice a day. And by the way, I have reached out to Gordon Johnson to see if he would like to be a guest on the show. And he has declined. Well, he hasn't responded, which is, best I can tell, the same thing as declining. And by the way, I am hitting F5 here periodically to see if it's up, and I'm not seeing it yet. Luis is saying 212,000 sold against 210,000 manufactured. I think the manufactured number is going to be lower, is going to be higher than the sell number, because in the previous 2 quarters they've drawn down inventory, and I believe they need to replenish it. Although we did see some showrooms cleared out of all their floor models, so who knows? China deliveries scare me. Why is that, Disturbed? Why is that? I don't think they should. I think they're going to be just fine. I've been watching all the drone footage, and the trucks are still coming and going nonstop. Although we did see some what looked like long-distance deliveries coming late in June. So not late, but like in June, like the second week of June, which if those were going to Europe, they would absolutely not make it. But again, we're looking at production, so those still count rather than delivery. Plaid Model S will not be added to production numbers if not 100% ready for delivery. Boy, that's a good question. I don't know the answer. I assume you're talking about at Fremont, over by the test track. There's a lot of cars sitting there with hoods open, some along the fence. I'm not sure if those are Models S, but with dust, with an inch of dust on them. Those could very well, I mean, do we count them if they're not delivery ready? If they're not ready to be shipped? I hope the Model S inventory sitting at Fremont in that parking lot will not affect the delivery numbers too much. I don't think it will. In previous quarters, we haven't seen the lots emptied out in significant ways. Not like when the Model 3 was ramping and we saw, boy, it was fun. The big delivery events where it was all hands on deck and volunteer Tesla owners giving orientations, helping with paperwork. Those were wild days, man. Those were wild days. Cherry picker, I don't mind how many. I care how innovative. Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to see a brilliant car over a cajillion Wuling Gong Huanggang Minis, those $5,000 EVs, which, by the way, those are huge sellers in China, but it looks like Tesla is outpacing them in sales, which is remarkable considering the Tesla has more profit per unit than those cars cost entirely. You know, $5,000, man. That's a cheap chunk of crap right there. What do we think about Model 3 deliveries? Do we think Model 3 has increased or decreased or anything like that? Do we think there's any, notable change going on? I believe Fremont has, if you saw my numbers, I believe Fremont has kind of not changed, and in terms of the Model 3. And I think China is going to also be essentially unchanged because there's, kind of a lot to try and the factory's done, is I guess what I'm saying. Let's F5 this bad boy and see. Look at that. Nothing to see. Are we crazy? Are we doing something crazy here for no reason? I think we are. What else are we looking for? Code Monkey 01. My videos are great. Thanks. I appreciate that. I have fun making them, but it's a lot of work. No S is counted as produced in Q1, despite piled up at Fremont, so I believe not much more than delivery numbers. I don't think we saw plaids piling up in Q1. I don't know. We didn't get close enough to see if they looked refreshed. What's going on? There we go. I was expecting a much bigger refresh on the Model S. Something maybe looking more like a Roadster styling, looking more like the Taycan. But it looks kind of the same, and I guess that's fine. I'm not in the market for a car of that caliber, so I guess it doesn't affect me in any way except as a shareholder. And for those of you unaware, I am a shareholder. I am long Tesla. I also hold some shares in Arcimoto, who I'll be doing a site visit with later this month. That's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to that quite a bit. What else? Rob Dale asked a very good question. What happened to the Shanghai, Berlin, Austin comparison videos? Loved them. I hope to restart those any day now. They're just incredibly time consuming. I've actually had two that were almost finished before they just got too old, before too much had changed. They're a good 12 to 18 hours of work to put them together, and it's just painful, but I will prioritize that. I agree it's important, and I will prioritize that. S is the flagship. X is for history and art. I agree. I think the X is needlessly complicated. And it definitely serves a segment of the market. I don't know what the future of the Model X is. And frankly, I'd rather have something that's that size, but substantially cheaper without do a fair amount of my recording. Every time you hear that, it means trouble. Let's see here. Well, let's refresh. Let's refresh. Let's see what we got. Nothing. We've got nothing. M and Y are the main products. Do you mean the 3 and the Y? I would absolutely say the 3 and the Y are the absolute bread and butter. And you can tell by, volume. They're both pretty wonderful that way. Oh, hi, Pat. Good to see you. Good to see you. Oh, am I? Looking dapper. Thank you. Thank you. I couldn't sleep, so I dressed in the dark as not to disturb my sleeping wife and, more importantly, the dogs, because they would insist on joining me in the office, and that's not good. We don't want that. Any opinion on the Plaid fire and how it will impact the results? I don't see it as an issue for a bunch of reasons. First of all, we don't have any real information yet on what happened, but even assuming the worst, cars catch fire. That is a thing that happens to cars. I Googled it. There's something like 171,000 car fires a year just on highways, and that doesn't count all the surface streets. So that means that any given internal combustion engine vehicle is about 20 times more likely to burn than a Tesla. So if only 20 times less combustible is a reason to damage, to impact the stock trading price, then I don't know, man. Hello, Rick in Kentucky. Let's see. X-Plaid is my next vehicle. A 7-seat big enough for my giant dog and as fast as a Bugatti. Yes, I would agree with you, Rob. I would love to have a Model X, but I can't afford that. That is not something in my price range. And for that matter, I'd love to have a 7-seat Model Y, which is a little on the smaller side, but I could get by with it, but not for 60 grand. I can't do that. I might not assume the worst, but CNBC sure has. Yeah, but I don't know how many investors are still listening to them. How many times can you be wrong? And being wrong is one thing. Being wrong can still sell, but you're giving people financial advice. You're ruining people. It's like, I get that a blogger can be wrong about a company, as long as they're wrong in ways that drives clicks. Great. Keep them on staff, I guess. But when you're a CNBC or a Gordon Johnson and you're giving people advice that's destroying their portfolios, how long can you do that? How long can you do that? So I don't know. It's interesting that we're getting to see Jim Cramer more on YouTube. I think that's fantastic, but only because he's a character, not because I particularly respect him as an analyst or would ever take his advice. We're going to hit F5. We're going to see if it's there. Is it there? And the magic continues. We continue waiting. Do we think it's actually coming? It's 5 o'clock on the West Coast. Market opens in hour and a half. Is that right? Ooh, I think we can make it, guys. I think we can make it. Let me make sure I'm not missing anything. Interesting. Yes. Tim says he hasn't had a TV for 20 years. CN who? I own a television, and we use it all the time. But we don't have cable, and we don't have an antenna. We have, a variety of streaming services, as one does. So my exposure to CNBC is purely on Reddit and, where else would that be? YouTube, I guess. Yeah, so that's a lot of fun. My biggest concern in terms of my numbers is my Model Y production numbers. The ramp in China is going well, but we have limited capacity to know just how well. Next quarter, to me, is looking exciting. Next quarter, I think we're going to see most of the ramp for the Model Y in China finish getting to where it needs to go, which is going to be huge. We might see some very, very limited production numbers out of Berlin and Austin. But that just takes us to Q4, where we're going to see, I believe, a little bit more meaningful production out of Berlin and in Texas. And we're also going to see the remainder of the ramp for all of China. And they've got a new building along what I was always calling the sliver wedge at the southeast corner that will be done and running. Doing what? We're not exactly sure. I do think the building in the northeast corner, the new standalone building that just finished up, I believe that's going to be the battery production building. And once again, OBS is giving me fits. There we go. Should hear a da-ding-ding here. Let's see. Let's go ahead and check and see if the magic continues. We get to wait. Suspense. Oh, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Is 220,000 possible? I mean, all things are possible. I think 220 is unlikely. Tesla up 308 in the pre-market. That's neat. Let's take a look at that. Pre-market up 308. I don't know why I checked. I guess I should have just believed you. Is 220,000 possible? Yes. Yes, it's possible. I think it's extremely unlikely without the Model S fully ramped, or at least reasonably ramped. We could see, without any other changes, we could see 220 next quarter just on the strength of the S. But I think next quarter is going to be, again, at least 50% up from last year over year for Q3, which would be, for a company to grow 50% year over year is remarkable. And you quickly get into growth that is absurd and kind of makes no sense. And just like with my weekly GigaTexas math tracker, you look at it and you say, there's no way this pace is going to continue. And then the pace continues. Every time I look at that tracker and I say, there's no more room for, we're running out of room to work on this or that. It just keeps moving. It just keeps happening. And the roadmap to continue 50% is already in place with Texas and Berlin. And I read a comment the other day that said, they better announce a new factory on the heels of those, or they're not going to be able to maintain 50%. Well, right, but Berlin is only in phase 1 of 4 phases. And Texas, they were planning 3 phases, and they built them all. They're building them all now at once, but they will quite possibly just continue expanding. They've already got land to grow. I'm getting some messages here, so let's see what I missed. Okay. Disturb 47 is saying, based on my experiences dealing with Germany, I expect no production from Berlin until Q1 of 2022. I expect little meaningful production, but I expect production in 2021. This is a do or die moment for Berlin, for Germany, really. If they want to attract outside companies, this is the proving grounds. You can give top priority to a permit. You can review it in the minimum allowable time. And whatever delays we've seen, apart from the bats and the pandemic, construction pace never changed. So when they said, "Oh, we're waiting on some new permits," great. There's still, the parking lot's still full. The crew is still working. It's still busy. With that said, it does feel like it's getting behind schedule. And I am starting to think that Texas is going to ultimately not just beat them by total number of days. They'll definitely do that by being the quickest to production from groundbreaking, but might beat them overall despite starting months later. Chip shortages seem to affect car makers heavily these few months, especially VW. Not just VW, it hit almost everybody. Ford had to shut down even their F-150 plants. There we go. That this tells me, again, I apologize, my OBS is not working properly. This tells me they're more likely to get priority in deliveries of chips, but also they changed which chips they were using for some parts of the car. They were able to do that because they're nimble and they've got their own software development in-house. So if Ford wanted to do the same thing, they would need to go out for bids to software developers, explain what they need, pick a company, even if they already had a supplier to do the work. It's just not going to happen fast enough. By the time they come in, we've got the new chips. Tesla can pivot very quickly. Tim says in Texas they were planning on building 3 buildings to be built at the same time from the start. The plans changed dozens of times and ended up as one big building. Okay. I had always heard that it was 3 phases. That the easternmost one was phase 1, the central one was phase 2, and the western one was phase 3. But in any case, they've got enough money they've got enough cash on hand to continue growth for the next couple of years. They removed the radar, which might have been in short supply. I watched a video with Andrei Karpathy the other day, and he said that that's not the reason why. It's that radar can't differentiate between an overpass and a stopped vehicle in front of you. So that's why there was so much phantom braking with overpasses, was because the radar would just see some object stationary just ahead, and let's hit refresh, see if the magic has begun. See if the magic, and the wait continues. It's very exciting. Very exciting. Let's see what else we got in the comments here. So a comment, I think it depends on how many double shifts were done and how many staff holidays in China and chip shortages. Yeah, we don't have good information on how often double or 24-hour shifts take place in China. And I would agree that parts shortages are more likely to constrain that than a lack of available labor. But it is... I don't think it affects my overall numbers, is I guess how I would put that. Austin does not equal Shanghai, does not equal Berlin. That is absolutely true. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what to do with that information. I would point out again, I'm very tired. I'm only up because I couldn't sleep. It was just, I'd go to bed. I'd wait a bit. I'd try to fall asleep. I'd check I'm back on my phone. Is it time? It is not time. It is not time, but maybe it is now. Let's take a look. And the magic continues. Oh, what fun. So let's see if there's any other comments. Politicians have no say when the Berlin permit will be issued. Not even the Prime Minister can do anything. It's out of their hands. It's all down to the Beamte. There we go. So it's possible that, things do work differently in different countries. And I can't say I know the ins and outs of German construction permitting, but even if the local politicians don't have sway over the permit office, boy, I just find that hard to believe. I find that hard to believe. I'm not familiar with a place where there is complete autonomy, where the mayor or the governor or someone doesn't have the ability to come in and put on pressure and say, look, we may... Come on. There we go. Looking here. I think do another car count video at Giga Texas. Oh, am I buffering again? I'll make sure I'm back before I answer it.